I've been feeling particularly lazy lately, so that's why I haven't uploaded anything in a while. Sue me. Nick Shirley decided to do something crazy again and just kind of doubly prove my point. So good on him. In case you hadn't seen, he managed to sneak into Cuba, did a little bit of recording, got basically spotted, and had to flee with the quickness, which he did get out. So praise be, right? And I've said it before and I'll say it again. Man's kind of dumb, but he's brave. And sometimes that's all it takes. So good on him. I think he, like you said, he was more or less planning to do it for a while. And I'm not sure if he did it directly in response to good old Hassan Piker managing to go to Cuba. I shouldn't say managing. You roll out the red carpet for him. But the timing was pretty coincidental. And of course, Hassan tried clapping at him. He smoked him in the clap back because, I mean, it's freaking Hassan. What do you expect? Speaking of not too bright. But anyway, it was one of those things, a real stupid move, but it's the sort of thing that has to be done. Whee, getting peppered. Almost thought I was going to have a failed summon there. Now, I think at this point, pretty much everybody knows the point Nick was trying to make, which is that, you know, Cuba sucks. But you occasionally have to be reminded of just how much it sucks and why it sucks. I thought this would be a good excuse to explain a little bit about how dictatorships work. You see, the thing about anyone who's ever played a Civ-type game, like I did in my youth, knows that not every system of politics works the same, has the same benefits, and the same penalties. They're good at certain things, bad at other things. And in the case of centralized dictatorships in the real world, the two main things that they are most accustomed to is the friend-enemy distinction oh wow, he really does not like me. Can't spend all my time healing, guys. Come on. Oh. Oh my god, you idiot. Oh, I'm gonna have to lock in. Sorry to leave you here. Never mind. Well, gave it a shot. Anywho, friend-enemy distinction. Very simple but overlooked concept. It's pretty simple. It's just know who your friends are and give them benefits. Know who your enemies are and give them penalties. Perfect example of this is Hassan and Nick Shirley. The government of Cuba understands that Hassan Piker is a friend, and therefore he gets working electricity, 4-star hotels, treated like a king, right? And they understand that Nick Shirley is an enemy, and as such, I mean, they probably would have, at the very least, imprisoned him, if not killed him. Because, you know, communists. So you can look at the way they treat Hassan versus the way they treat Nick and realize, you know, hey, is this the kind of country you want to live in where you could be the enemy, you know, tomorrow rather than being the friend? One of the things that dictatorships are not very good at is keeping their friends to still be friends. Oh, a little too early. That should be enough to finish him off. Good. See, one of the weaknesses of having a centralized dictatorship is that the guy on top is relatively isolated, and there aren't a lot of multiple layers of redundancy in the government to protect you from a coup. For example, in the United States, in order to have a full coup, you are either going to need either just straight up every branch of the military all at once, or you're somehow going to have to get the entirety of the executive branch out of the way with, multiple layers of redundancy. I'm trying to remember which, there was some fictional universe thing where, like, the president is the secretary of education or something like that, because literally everyone gets taken out all at the same time, but I mean, still, the chain of command holds and it goes all the way down that far. Of course, in any country, you got to realize that the dictator cannot actually enforce his will by himself. It's just not possible. He needs other people to listen to him, and other people tend to listen to him because he has, loyal lieutenants who command even lesser loyal lieutenants of their own down the chain who can use coercion and force in order to enact whatever the new policy is, right? Similarly, if you were in some place like the United States or like even, Russia, China, etc., whatever, same thing applies. You would need the guys who are in charge of the military, because they are the ones who possess the force, is who you'd need in order to coup anything. And, of course, their soldiers would have to be loyal to them, and their soldiers under them would have to be loyal to them, because even if all the top brass, the top generals and admirals get together and say, we're doing this, if the lieutenants say no, it doesn't happen. If the grunts say no to the lieutenants, it doesn't happen. So dictatorships are very good at basically punishing their enemies, and Pro Gamer 56Bs, okay? They're very good at punishing their enemies and rewarding their friends, but because of how easy it is for power to transfer in them, who friend and enemy is can change very quickly. So someone like Piker would, like to think he'd be in the goods with whoever gets put in charge of a socialist country, but he probably would very quickly we just got invaded. So let's see if this guy's just going to go for the fog wall. He's just going to let us. Cool, cool. Alright, let's get ready for the initial rot. Worth it. Still worth it. Get some distance. Ah, I saw that coming. Oh, I was trying to heal that guy at the same time. That was a miscalculation on my part. Oh well, I got the guy rotting at least. Get him, boys. That'll be my contribution. Alright, second thing that dictatorships are very good at. Resource extraction. And the reason they're good at resource extraction is because it does not require you to maintain complicated systems, at least comparatively so. Supply chains, etc., etc. Like, making furniture is more complicated than cutting down trees. You go down, you cut the trees, you have make paths, you have the heavy equipment that can move the trees, that's fine. But even if you're not cutting down your own trees, the level of dedicated machinery you need to do all the various parts of cutting down and shaping and putting together all the various parts is technically more complicated, and dictatorships are not good at maintaining complicated systems. Good example, Russia. Maybe not like completely dictatorial, but it's pretty darn close with, Putin and whatnot. And what's the one thing they're really good at? Because they're not good at making like high-end electronics or any other finished products, but I mean, they're pretty good at getting oil out of the ground and various, minerals and whatnot. China, up until recently, well, relatively recently, like almost within my lifetime, was also a particular basket case when it came to this sort of thing. Oh, that was dumb. This is why you get rid of absolutely everybody on the way there, so they're not a distraction. Then again, I'm easily distracted. And then, they actually add a little bit of capitalism into the mix, get opened up to the world market. Next thing you know, they actually can produce stuff, even if it is, Chinesium Temu quality. Slightly against my will, probably half the stuff in my house was made in China. Would really like for that to be made in the U.S., but I mean, we'll see what we can do. It's going to take time. It took time to screw it up. It's going to take time to fix it. So the problem that Cuba has is that it is an island nation. And island nations are not very well known generally for having a wide assortment of exploitable natural resources. Famous case in point, Japan, right? I mean, for the longest time, Japan was, kind of a pseudo-medieval backwater. I mean, they could grow plenty of food. They had all sorts of trees, all sorts of, really nice wood buildings and whatnot, but they don't really have that many fossil fuels. Like, they don't have, all that much oil they can get their hands on locally, and not a whole lot of iron. And the iron they can get, kind of junk quality, right? But when they finally started modernizing, and they needed to get those resources, they could either trade for them or they could just take them. So for a good little bit there, they just went around taking them. Didn't end too well for them, shall we say. But then after that, they figured out that, hey, we have a very diligent, very high intelligence, hardworking, conscientious population. We can import raw materials. We have the know-how to make those into finished products. We are not a dictatorship, so we can run these complicated systems. And they became the manufacturing hub. And after being the low-end manufacturing hub, they turned into the high-end manufacturing hub, and that's pretty much where they still are today. Plus, all the complicated electronic stuff. I'm playing a Japanese game on a Japanese console, right? So Cuba's kind of in the same position. They don't have a lot of resources they can extract to pull out, which is why they are having an oil crisis right now, because Venezuela was giving them all their oil. And now that's not happening anymore for reasons. And they don't really have anything they can extract, and they're a dictatorship, so there's not really anything complicated they can manufacture. So here they are, relying on tourism while cleaving to, the one kind of government that makes you extraordinarily unpopular to the world hegemon. And you're fairly popular to the world's second hegemon. The problem is there's, an ocean and a continent in the way. Not that that stopped Russia, but then again it, did kind of complicate things there for a while. And then Russia collapsed, so is what it is. All right, one last sum, and then I'll wrap this little ranty up. So, the TLDR, God bless Mick Shirley. I'm glad his OPSEC was roughly in line. He did get, clocked relatively quickly, unfortunately, but it didn't stop him from getting out. Nokia Capybara. So, indestructible phone, brain dead, cute rodent. Don't go in too quick. Thank you. Alright, final boss, so let's lock in. Ah. Distance. Alright, phase 2. Let's see if we can get him rotting. Gotta hope he tries to grab us. There's the grab. Let's hope we can layer this shit. Oh. Well, at least I got him rotting. And the host is dead. So it didn't even matter. Typical. Alright, yeah, I think we'll wrap that up. This is going on 20 minutes anyway. Good luck on whatever you do next, Nick, because despite what I may say about you being a dumbass, I'm still rooting for you because you're America's dumbass.